I think there's where you get that burst of motivation, it's great and it's fantastic. And when you have discipline that kind of sets that tone, so you're consistent and you're disciplined, that's what leads to large and great results over time.
At the end of the day, like, you can become more balanced only when you know yourself. And that's the process of getting to know yourself, to just actually facing those demons and seeing what's the reason you do things.
I can make a million mistakes.
Exactly.
I have made mistakes and you've made mistakes. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to learn. We're in.
With this podcast, with this episode, finding balance in work and life, I want to start with a question, because you have your own business, and I guess running a business, it's always harder to find that life-work balance. So how do you find balance in work and your business? And do you think it's important to have a balance? And do you think you have a healthy work-life balance?
A healthy work-life balance, yes and no. When I first started my business, I put aside everything in order to get it off the ground, and I think there is some level that you have to do that. It wasn't until I started experiencing things like burnout and I started to get a bit more overwhelmed that I realized the importance of work-life balance. And like now, there are still times where I have to push and put the recreational stuff or giving my headspace, like, put on the back burner. But there are still times where I do have to really grind it out. But I mean, it wasn't until I started talking to James about the importance of work-life balance, simply because, I mean, now it gets to a point where even if an event comes in or a job comes in, and that's on a weekend that falls in line, like when we went out last week on camping, I was like, oh, there's money, but going for a weekend's more important. That's having a balance. Having a balance to be able to say what's more important. Because I've started to realize that in the beginning, DOSMAS made up all of what I was. My business made up of everything. It was my identity. But that's only just one part of who I am. The work-life balance and doing other things and pursuing other things like friends, family, jiu-jitsu, like those are other things that make up who I am. And those are just as important to lean into. And I think that's just where I'm at, because at the end of the day, it's about cultivating a happier life for you. And I think that's just by doing the things that you want to do. But I think that there is such a thing where I was made to feel like that was a bad thing, you know, because I wasn't hustling or grinding or business first. So I feel guilty. I still feel guilty. I feel so guilty just going on holiday. But I know the importance of resting, because
the toxic productivity.
And I think, but I also feel that if you don't have balance, or if you don't have your, let's say, career or goals in mind at arm's length, and you let it consume you, I think then you'll burn out. And I actually think that it's more productive to give yourself headspace. Like, I remember I was chatting to James, and James, if you're listening to this, massive thank you.
Who's James, by the way?
James was actually my therapist. Yeah, sorry. So James is kind of, well, business coach really, and we've been working together for the last year. And whenever I had an issue, he was like, just lean into the self-care, like go even harder in the self-care. Almost like, yeah, that's the problem and that's work, but lean into taking care of yourself. Go out for a walk, go have a massage, go see your mates, go see your parents, or whatever. Like, whatever makes you feel good, go do that. Go to the gym.
I'll just cut you a bit here.
Yeah, go for it.
Interesting, because I think I felt very burned out quite recently, and I remember you said lean into self-care, but how do you know? Because I feel like you have to lean into that before you burn out, because when you burn out, it's a bit too late to, like, you're just there without the purpose, basically, like laying down in a bed. What triggers you to realize that this is the time when I have to forget everything that's important, work related, and I have to work on the self-care? What's the point that triggers it?
Burnout feels like it's not that you're not motivated, it's that
You don't care about anything, right?
it's like you're finding it hard to start getting out of bed, and your problems at work start to feel a lot bigger than they actually are. And when you're really tired and it's getting a bit overwhelming and you feel kind of like, why me? That sort of mentality of like, why is this happening to me? Why am I the ones with the problems? That's when you sort of go, okay, I'm experiencing a bit of burnout. Because really your reaction to it should be like, okay, let's solve it. Let's solve the problem.
I feel like when you, sorry if I can't, but I feel like when I'm experiencing these some sort of emotions, like I'm feeling like a victim, I feel very small and worthless in a way.
Yeah.
Just like, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm probably, there's no way I'm gonna get there or something, like just like these negative talks to yourself. So I feel, is that what you mean?
Totally agree. It's like this, the self-doubt comes in, and then you start sort of questioning you as a person about whether or not you can even do this anymore. I think that's also when you start need to get some sort of like fresh air, or just refresh things up a bit, not make it all about work. Is when you start feeling like you're a useless, piece of shit, and you can't do this, and what are you doing? You're in way over your head, and like everyone will experience that. And like that might not even be if you're starting your own business, even at work, if you're even just work, and and you're sort of like, it's that imposter syndrome. It starts creeping in.
Well, I guess whatever you do that's hard and challenging, and for some people that could be running your business, for some people that would be competitions and well, whatever sports, for some people just could be work, or like anything really. I feel like those emotions just creeps in, like, 'cause I guess every person has a different.
Hey guys, thank you so much for making it this far into the podcast. If you have any feedback, then please let us know, as we always want to make this podcast better. So hearing from you is always a pleasure. Please subscribe to all of our platforms, get involved at Triangle Theory. If you've got any comments, or if you want to share any topics that you think that me and Conrad would like to talk about, then please get involved. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.
Almost like a threshold of how much they can take it, and then those emotions just creeps in. So it's not necessarily you have to run business to experience these emotions.
For sure. Yeah, like everyone, like you're saying, everyone's got a threshold or a maximum capacity of what they can take.
Yeah.
And my tolerance to burnout might be more than yours, or vice versa. You might be able to work longer or harder, or function on less sleep. I mean, that's the thing I was going to sort of go to next, is working out the protocols when you start to experience where work's kind of overloading. What do you do straight away in order to combat that? The first thing I'll do is like immediately prioritize sleep, because I think that's the first thing that we start to expend. Because we'll just go to bed later because we can just stay up later and work longer. But that's not the practical solution to it, because if you go to bed earlier, you can wake up early and have a fresher head on it, and then you're actually fresher to solve the problems the next day. Whereas I think we live in a world where that's the norm, and we actually almost champion people not sleeping, staying up all night. You're gonna stay up until 3 a.m, 1 a.m, whatever it is, and you're gonna grind, and you're not gonna stop.
Sleep faster.
Exactly. You should be getting up at like 4 a.m, having just worked like however many hours. And that was starting DOSMAS. That was my mentality with it, because I was buying into all of that. And I think I just had a bit of a naive approach, because I thought that's what it took. When actually, I think when you look at, and those people that really inspire me are those that really have like success is not just having the success that you have, but like it's how they prioritize everything around them. Even yesterday, and I'll give you an example of that, was we went to this brewery yesterday, and we did a pop-up to serve food, which was really fun and really exciting. And it went really, really well. And the owner of the brewery is this Australian guy, and he like put on the whole event and everything like that. And we all finished, and like it was a really great day, and it was sort of winding down. And I went to go sort of say goodbye to him and talk to him and sort of say, thank you so much for having us. And I went up to him and he said, hang on a second, I'm just actually just going to see my son for a minute. And his wife and his son came in the pram, and he was like, I'm just going to go spend time with my son and then I'll come and talk to you. And I was like, I really respect that, because you've just completely said, I'm going to deal with work in like 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Because
Prioritize
what's important is
family.
my son's about to go to bed and I want to be a part of that. And I think that for you to have like a really good work-life balance is for you to be able to say no, and for you to be able to like carve up what's important and what's not.
Oh, that's very. I guess it's very important to. Like, work-life balance doesn't have to be 50-50, as long as it works for you. Like,
Yeah,
as you know who's Alex Hormozy is?
yeah, I love Alex.
He's an animal when it comes to work, but
Yeah,
apparently his routine, I'm not sure if that's, well, I've heard him saying that. So basically what he does is working as much as he can in a day, and at some point in the day he just have this just like a stop signal in his mind that like he can't do much work anymore, like he just simply can't think anymore. And he's like, then I just simply go gym or just watch telly. And that's my balance. Like the next day I'll do all over again. Like I sleep, I wake up, and then I work, and then when I can't work I just watch telly or go gym. And that's fine. Like if you can operate on this balance, I'm very happy for you. But that wouldn't work for me 100%, because I need to go. I can't just watch telly and rest. Like I need to go gym or go for a walk, or like
stimulate my mind
a bit. Yeah. But at the same time, my balance wouldn't work for him. So I feel every one of us have to find their own way of winding down and just work, and as much as you personally can, not just. I remember, as you said, I used to watch these YouTube videos where they say like, oh, you have to work like 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, like every single day in a year. And then you try that for a couple of days and they're like, I feel like shit. And then I can't see my family. I sacrifice my family. I sacrifice my friends. I sacrifice training. It's like, no, that, like, if I would do that for the next 2 or 3 years, I'll get insane. So no, I'll choose what feels good for me. And it's not, I guess it's very important to realize that you're choosing what's better for you, but at the same time you're not trying to choose what's easier, because that's a really fine line between saying, oh, like I'm choosing this because I actually think this is the best, but I'm not choosing this because I'm taking the path of least resistance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, like I feel like every one of us have to find their own balance. And some people, as we said, have a better tolerance, and some people gonna work 10%, like 10% resting, 90 working. Some of us gonna be working 40% and 60% resting. So it's all about finding your own golden spot, I guess.
For sure. And I think it's about looking at your quality of output, because I remember there'd be some times where I'd be working for the sake of working and I just watch the clock end. I'd be like, okay, I said I was going to be here till 7 and I'm going to be here till 7, and I'd be watching the clock being like, okay, it's 10 past. Okay, it's
yeah.
and I'm not actually getting any work.
Yeah, just on your phone,
or
like
I'm just
waiting for the time to.
And I'm just distracted. And I was like, what I should be doing is closing the laptop and just going for a walk, going for other things that, like, I remember Charlie keeps saying every time he hears his name on the podcast, I see like, eventually I'm getting on this thing. And
no, we'll get him.
Well, 100%,
October, definitely.
And I was like at DOSMAS just on my day off, like just because I felt like I needed to be there, because I thought that was contributing to the overall success of DOSMAS. And Charlie was like, just get the fuck out and go for a walk, man. Like, just go to the park. Like, take your shoes off. Do what, like, you don't need to be here.
Yeah.
And I was like, really frustrated with myself because I was like, I feel like I need to because this is contributing to what I want, you know, down the line. He was like, well, stop living in the future, live in the present. And like, you know, you're not going to win every day and get after it.
Yeah.
I think there's where you get that burst of motivation. It's great and it's fantastic. And when you have discipline that kind of sets that tone, so you're consistent and you're disciplined, that's what leads to large and great results over time. However, that shouldn't take you away from enjoying present moments. And being able to, like, looking back now, I'm 29 and I started DOSMAS at 22. I've spent my whole 20s building DOSMAS. And I put off parties, I put off hanging out with friends, or even if I was hanging out with friends, I was like, I should be at work, and that took me away from a lot of present moments to have, and I robbed myself of a
Do you
lot of
regret
those opportunities. Yes and no.
But before that, do you think that if you would have gone to a few more of these parties, would you have less of what you have right now?
Exactly this. So I kept worrying about being in the position that I am today. However, would I even be in the position that I am today had I not worried so much? So I think there is that line, you know, and maybe there could have been maybe I could have not been in so much my own head and given myself a bit more clarity, but it's taken me a long time to understand a work-life balance because I've really had to understand what my version of success is, you know, and that changes all the time. My version of success now is kind of trying to give myself more free time to be able to do the things I want to do, not necessarily all work. Like, work is an amazing thing and I love it, and that gives me purpose, and I get to wake up doing that. I get to wake up and think about doing this podcast, and that really inspires me. But I also really enjoy hanging out with you and
going camping.
I really enjoy hanging out with other, like, mates, or just going down to Oxford and seeing my mum for the weekend and chilling out there. Like, I love that, and I've realised that it's really important, because you also hear horror stories of people that only pursued work and then they've made a really great success, or what people think is success, and they're fucking miserable.
You just reminded me of things. So I listened More Than Wisdom quite recently, I think, and he had do you know Robin Sharma?
Yes. No.
He wrote a monk who sold his Ferrari, or the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Okay, I don't think I've read that one.
Anyway, he's like, I'm not getting to who he is, but he's basically he is very successful right now. He used to be a very successful businessman, but then he went to this monastery and became basically a monk, and then he sold all of his possessions, and now he's helping to, like, businessmen to get, like, to find a purpose, because they got, like, loads of money, but they feel empty. So basically he went to one of his clients' home, and this client I don't think he was a client, but he was about to become a client, or like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not getting into details, but this person was showing around all of his possessions. Like, I've got all of his cars. He showed all of his achievements in business, the amount of money he made, all of his mansions. He's got, like, one in there. Like, just like in society, like, we would view this person as, like, super successful. And Robin was, like, listening to him, and he's like, that's great. And he's like, who you got to share this with? He's like, I live here all by myself. Like, I've got no friends, no family, just by myself. And made that really, really hit me, because, like, obviously I'm not as financially successful as this person, but I can imagine, like, there were times when I was working at home by myself. Like say my girlfriend is at a party, like, I left her with friends, and I'm just doing work by myself. It's like, this is, like, I feel good I'm doing the work while everyone else is enjoying themselves. But I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life, because
Totally not.
imagine working every single day and not having these camping trips that we had last weekend, not seeing your family, having shitty relationship with your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, having no friends at all, no partners. You're just there by yourself. You don't even have a dog or something. Like it's just so miserable for me personally. Some people may like it and it's completely fine. I'm really happy for them, but I feel like as humans we need that connection and meaningful relationships specifically. So that way when we band out, we go onto these camping trips and we laugh and as when we come back, it's just like, okay, I'm gonna start all over again now.
I used to have this thing, and
Just to cut you as well,
Yeah.
remember when you told a story where you went to Caribbean islands, I think, with your family,
yeah.
and then you were laughing in this
I mean,
in the water, and it's just like this is the thing.
Totally. That was like one of the most like it was actually I actually felt like I went kind of experienced something outside of my body because I went to the Caribbean with my family. It was the first time that I'd taken a flight for I think it was 3 years because I'd worked so hard on DOSMAS. It was quite like a big thing for me. Like taking a flight of anywhere big just to go on holiday, and it was 2 weeks worth of holiday as well. And I was really excited, and I broke up with the previous partner, so I was kind of like wanting to sort of experience kind of a new self, and but yeah, that experience was me shedding a bit of a skin because myself, my brother and sister and my mum, we all went for this like big walk and this big hike, and it was really hard to sort of get to the top, and we managed to get to the top, and we were overlooking the whole of Bequia, which is this really beautiful island near St Vincent in the Caribbean. Really lucky to go and experience that. But it was after where we hiked back down the mountain, and we went for like a tea breakfast kind of thing before, and it was really roasting hot at this point. It was like 2 PM because we went quite early in the afternoon. Sorry, went really early in the morning, hiked up. By the time we finished it was like afternoon time, and we were all like, oh, let's go jump in the sea before we go walk back to where we were staying. And we all jumped in the sea, and my mum was in hysterical like laughter, and my sister started laughing, and me and Charlie all started laughing. And I felt at that point that everything at that point kind of aligned for me, where I was like, if I could have more moments like that, that's what success is. Because for me, it was like, that is the most important thing in the world. Like,
that's it. Like, you can tell you almost unlocked your value. Like, you always have these values, but you consciously understood, this is one of my main and top priorities and values.
Exactly. Whether it's before I was carrying this kind of like backpack of this really heavy weight of, I need to have all of this in order to have these moments with my family, when it was just right there in front of me. You know, I'm not a millionaire, and I wasn't a millionaire in that moment to enjoy that experience. Yeah, I had all that pressure where I felt like I needed to be in order to have that happiness. Does that make sense?
100%. 100%.
Like, I remember even now building DOSMAS, and all the late nights and the Saturday nights and the Friday nights where we would be doing service, and I've served at parties watching other people having a good time for the last like 6 years. And that as a young man can be quite hard, because you want to go and experience good times as well. Yeah. And you want to be a part of that. But I always used to have this thing where I was like, I'm a winner. That's the difference between someone that's fucking winning and someone that's fucking losing. You have your drink, you know. And I would drive past in the van coming back from like a market day, and everyone would be on a Thursday or Friday evening, like, and it'd be a really nice sunset in London. Everyone's drinking at a pub, and I'd be like, you guys are all fucking losers. I'd have this hatred in my mind.
I know what I mean, man. I know.
And it was really, but what I realized was that I was just envious of that at the time. But what was getting me through that was because I was like, I'm building a business, and that's the difference, because I thought that was the mindset I needed. And I was trying to put myself up here a little bit, trying to make myself feel good in that.
Yeah.
And I don't have that anymore, because
How did you get rid of it? Because I feel like I definitely had this, and I feel like sometimes I even had it as well. Because like, if people going out, it's like, I might as well gonna sit down and work. It's like this is an opportunity for me to like get ahead of
people.
someone. Like I'm not even sure who I'm competing with. It's just with myself, but like,
and that's it. It's competing.
yeah,
It's competition, and I'm competitive. And I think a way I got rid of that chip on the shoulder was because I wasn't happy in that moment. You know, of course I wasn't happy. I was pissed off, really. Even though and I shouldn't have that feeling. I should have been like, it's been a really nice day working on my business, and I've got something to look forward to. And that's something that's really important, is putting things in your calendar that you have things to look forward to, because otherwise you just kind of feel like you're on a wheel working for what, or working towards what.
That's what Tim Ferriss did as well.
who?
I remember someone said that he used to book holidays like 3 years in advance just to like having something to look forward to, but at the same time he's working, and he's like, I'm looking forward to that holiday, but in the meantime I'm just gonna be working. Is that what?
Yeah, and there's a podcast with Tim Ferriss, and Tim Ferriss is amazing. And he kind of talks about what he kind of the importance of things that are in your calendar, and because they were also talking about what about in the state of emergency where you feel like things are really overwhelming and, you know, decisions are tough and stuff. He was like, well, I've got stuff in place in my calendar where I can go away and be with people that I care about. You know, like for example, going away on that trip last weekend, 100% we should have that booked in at least 3 times a year, where you can just go and do that with your friends, regardless of
Mate, that's definitely true. Like, you know, it was so refreshing, because
it removes you from nose to the grindstone, and then you start to see what's really fundamentally important, and you have an outside perspective of your life instead of just being in it, fucking
grinding it,
knuckling. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that was I didn't know what my success or my moral compass was at that time. And I also had no idea who the fuck I was, you know, 5 years ago. Still.
So do you think you realized that 5 years ago, or it was a quite recent realization that you don't need to be this fucking workaholic?
Yeah. I mean,
you still work a lot, but not from the envious,
not from the
perspective, I guess.
I think more from the side that I really enjoy working hard, and I have always worked. You know, you've always worked, and a lot of that's been because I haven't had a choice. You know, I had to, and what I enjoyed most was the process that it allowed me to understand about myself, not necessarily the pursuit of what the goal was in work. Like Dostmas, building it has allowed me to understand more about myself than actually the industry itself that I love. Because you learn how far you can take things, how far you can push yourself.
Yeah. You know? But that's the thing, you can only find these things through trial and error.
And and like even for the people listening to this podcast that either are pursuing something or experiencing it hard to have a work-life balance, or those that are looking to find something that they can pursue in, I think it's really important to remember that you have, and I didn't know this before, you have so many different aspects that make up you. You know? Look at the amount of hobbies and interests you have, like jiu-jitsu, like work, podcast, like just keep adding stuff to the bow that allows you to just diversify. You've always got things going on, like going on holiday with Rafal, going to spend time with the boys, going to a wrestling class, then going to Muay Thai, and then, you know, having all of these passions and interests make up a whole. You're not just going in on one. And I at the time was just in on one thing, and I just put everything aside. And that didn't make me happy. Yeah, it made me worse.
How do you, like, say for the person who's watching this podcast, say I feel like I've got a good job, it feels like I have a good work-life balance, but how do you know that you're balance is unhealthy?
Is unhealthy. Because you put this kind of expectation on yourself. I mean, you know your balance is unhealthy because too much of anything is unhealthy. So if you're doing too much self-care and you're not actually focusing on anything else,
And you're
it's
broke.
unhealthy. Broke as shit, which people can do because they potentially might be running away from something they don't want to do.
Exactly,
right?
yeah. Hey guys, your feedback is very important. And no, this is not an advertisement. Actually, what I'm asking from you is to leave a comment below what you liked and most importantly, what you disliked about this episode, because we can improve on the next episodes and we can make a better content for you to listen. Give us also a topics you'd like to us talking about, and we can prepare, do your research and talk about it on the next episodes. Thank you.
For me, and this is kind of like what I see from Alex Hormozy's point in some ways, is that he's very much someone that's like, how can I get the most amount of output for the input?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's very much like, what can I control most?
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you're living a lifestyle that's unhealthy, then you've got to look at your ratio of the work that you're putting into the work that you're getting out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not just from a money point of view or from a work point of view, but like, what are you actually getting out of it for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's really important, because otherwise, why are you doing it? Because money is a short-term achievement,
Mm-hmm.
but like, what are you personally getting out of doing all of that?
Expand on it, as in like, what would you look to get out?
So if it was unhealthy, you'd be doing all of this stuff and not really understanding why you're doing it.
Oh.
That's that. Like you don't know what you're benefiting from it. I'm just going down this road and I'm just not going to stop. And
It's like
you're kind of
knowing when to give up, or like not give up, but like pivot.
Yeah, you're just on a wheel.
Yeah,
like running on a wheel like a hamster. But in order for it to be like running through a park that you can appreciate and enjoy, you have to be able to go spend time go sit by that bench and look at the lake, go spend some time. Like, don't just narrow yourself down one avenue, I think, or like focusing on one aspect of what you're doing. I think I think that's unhealthy.
Zoom out.
Try and zoom out a bit and look at your life as a whole. Where else can you improve things? That's finding balance. Because if you're overweighted on one thing, which, let's say this is for this podcast, it's work, you'll know that you're doing that simply because you won't be as motivated as much. You're really tired. Things frustrate you. You're unable to make clarity on decision making. And that's when you just go, okay, I need to start finding things that I enjoy that allow me to like
Balance it out.
Yeah, just ease the pressure off. You know, when you like bleed a radiator, like you're all filled up with this pressure, you just need to like do, and that might be anything that you enjoy, like go fucking sew, or it could be anything for anyone.
What was that for you?
Good question. For me, well, the gym was always a place that I called a safe space, but then I also saw that as work as well, and that is work for me because I was going in there to try and with another goal. I think it's something where you should be completely disconnected.
What was your goal? Like, because you said you were going there for another goal.
I think the goal was just to like have a fitness goal, and I think that was to look like aesthetically how I wanted to look, not necessarily. Now I go to the gym kind of like, this is a space for me to enjoy, not just to look a certain way, but actually to release my mind and be present there. But I would say now the biggest thing for me that I do for myself that's solely for me is jiu-jitsu. Like that is one thing that it only in that, because it's also the people that you meet there, it's social. This year it's like really helped me just to like, yeah, that's my balance. Or like sometimes I'll go to like a sauna,
Yeah,
and a spa.
that's my thing
I
as
think,
well.
and just like even if it's for like 4 hours. There's something for me. There's something.
4 hours in a sauna.
No, 4 hours just in a spa. Like, so you can go to like the pool, the sauna, have a massage. Like it's half a day. That's like self-care. Like
we need to do that as well.
That to me is like if shit hits the fan. And then the other thing was like going to do mushrooms and stuff like that, or going to have a drink, maybe like go have some social interaction, go see a gig, do things that I really like seeing. Or just like booking something spontaneous.
I like that as well. I
think because I always used to think like London was a really hard city to live and work in, and I felt like the only thing for me here was Dostmas, but actually there's so much here to experience. And even if you're in an area where you don't have as much stuff like London, for example, like take a train, look for something if it's an art class, if it's like on Friday, I went to this like poetry reading thing and I just heard people speak.
Really?
Yeah, they were just saying poetry stuff and I was like, oh, this is really nice. Watching someone express themselves like in
different ways,
in a different way, and I'd never seen it before. Like some were really intense, but it was something where I was just even this week where like work's been really tough and stressful. It was like something where it's like, okay, I just need to get my mind off it. I'm like, that's a really nice thing.
Yeah.
What about you? How do you disconnect?
Yeah, I'd say sauna is one thing. Like I really enjoy it. Walks, I really enjoy going for a walk.
Yeah.
Camping, like if as you said, shit hits the fan, I want to go out, get out of the city. Just want to go like get into the nature, and ideally for like at least one night. When you touched on gigs, it's really funny because yesterday I went. It was my mum's birthday, a week ago.
No way.
2 weeks ago, I think. No, a week ago, yeah. Like every birthday I just try to buy something for her. But like I realized that I remember when we mentioned about why we want to do retreat, because we want people experience to have an experience, not just like a product to buy, like a hoodie or something. And I'm the same way about presents now. Like I'm not really buying any presents unless it's an experience. Like I'm not buying things. So obviously I bought flowers to my mum, and I came down and was like, what would you like to do? And she wanted to have like a photo shoot, but I was like, I looked on the internet and there was like 250 quid for them to come to your house or like to come to the park. I was like, it doesn't really make sense. I was like, what about we going to the musical? She's a massive fan of Tina Turner.
No way, that's epic.
Yeah, and we went to the musical yesterday. May, it was insane.
Really?
It was actually insane.
Did she love it?
Oh, she loved it. And I liked it as well. Like I've never been to a musical as well.
Yeah.
But she loved it as well because like the singers, it was really, really good. So that was quite refreshing because I got to spend some time with my mum as well. And then after the show we just walked by to her home. It took us like hour and a half, so we walked through like night London. We had like couple beers, and it was just like such a wholesome moment of being with my family and with my loved ones. And that's one thing I feel gigs is really interesting.
They're really awe-inspiring.
It really inspired me though.
Yeah,
really
and
inspired
when
me.
you see like when you're with hundreds of other people all watching the same thing and cheering, there's this like you're all kind of connected in a way. And it feels like this experience, like even when you're watching even comedy and stuff like that, everyone's laughing.
Yeah,
like you're there, everyone's there simply for enjoyment.
Yeah, entertainment. Yeah,
and when you're around that much kind of enjoyment of an experience, you can't help but just get like your mind just kind of
become one.
Yeah, and you're in it, you're living it, you're experiencing a moment. Would you say that was something that you want to do more of in order to kind of have a bit more balance now?
Not necessarily gigs, but definitely when I'm gonna give something to my mom or like any friend, I don't think I'm gonna buy things anymore unless they generally want it. I feel like why I hate, well, that's gonna sound really bad, but why I hate exchanging with Christmas presents, because it's just like you're doing it because you need to. Like you're not actually doing it because you generally want to buy something.
You feel like it's just because we're doing this because it's Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and every time we exchange and gifts with my families, like there's none of this thought process behind it. Like what do you actually like? And so I'm trying to like come up with these. So last year for my sister and my bro-in-law, I gifted a drifting experience. So they sit down in the car and the professional driver
That's
just
epic.
Yeah. So they need to book it still, but yeah. So something like this that you're going to remember 5 years down the line, you're going to remember like, oh yeah, you remember when we went to this Tina Turner musical, or you remember when we went to this drifting event. You're not going to remember, oh, remember when I got this, I don't know, like socks on Christmas. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's just, unless the person has genuinely want it.
Yeah.
Like, that's why I always ask, what do you want? And if they don't say me what they want, I'm just like, all right, I'll come up with an experience then.
It's funny because like in our family, I'll always ask everyone what do they need.
Yeah, exactly.
My mum always says, what do you want? And I'm like, I have everything I want. Like, just, not that I'm like kind of, I think sometimes you can buy sentimental things which mean a lot, and you know, when you're buying someone for something that you feel like, oh, that's a really genuine thing I'd like to get for you, not just getting something for the sake of getting something. I think it can be quite nice to do things together, because then you're trying to, then you're finding a balance for the both of you, and it's really, I think, when you're having experiences with other people as well, and that you don't really know, that becomes a memory until you start looking back at it and go, oh, that's a memory. And that's really, I feel like that's really important now. And well, I mean, maybe it's because as I've gotten older, I've realised that things aren't important so much, like actual physical things.
Not really. Like it's all, for me, it's all about experiences. Like after this musical yesterday, like I can see my mom was so happy. I was like, that's it. She's going to remember this thing probably for the next 10 years, and if not for the whole life, because it was just so much emotion involved in there, so much different energy was happening in her in her head. So it's definitely a better thing than just buying something like
totally.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's just how I think, I guess.
I got a question for you.
Go on then.
So I feel like you have a really good work-life balance. I've seen that. When you were kind of becoming the person that you are, what would you recommend, or what strategies would you use for removing the expectation that you had of yourself?
Thank you for thinking that, but I have to push back a bit. I don't think I have a good work-life balance, and I'll try to explain. So it's funny because like my girlfriend is always telling me that like you just can't turn off, and I really, really struggle to turn off. So say, for example, if I'm sitting at home and like I know I have to do something, which is always like I always have something to do, and like my girlfriend is watching telly, then I was like, okay, so I'm gonna watch the telly with you, but I'm gonna have my laptop and I'm just gonna do something on the side. I don't know, like I felt like I have a good work-life balance, which is I like enjoying things, like I like going camping and like going to parks and like trying different food as well. Like that's something I love. But even though when I'm doing this, I still think about what I have to do.
So what are the expectations you have on yourself that you can't remove? Why do you feel like you can't shut the laptop and go watch something with Redefining?
I feel like I have to prove something to myself, or like to others even. And that's the thing, like sometimes I have this very healthy relationship with myself. It's like, no, I'm in my own race, and I don't care when I'm gonna get there. Eventually, I'm gonna get there, and I'm not even sure where I'm going to. Like, I know I want to have my own business and all of that stuff, and eventually it's gonna happen regardless. But I know that when I'm gonna get there, there's going to be other things in the future that I'm going to be chasing. So I keep on reminding myself that, like, no matter where you're gonna get, there's always going to be other stuff that you're gonna say, oh, now I need to achieve this or that. So I feel like you having a better work-life balance than I am, but in terms of having that healthy relationship with yourself, because sometimes it feels like I'm punishing myself a bit too much. Although I'm a lot better right now than I used to be in the past. In the past, it was just really bad. But now I'm feeling I'm a lot more mature, and I need to keep on reminding myself that, like, there's no end to whatever you do. There's always going to be stuff to do, and it's very important to prioritize your values first off. So my two biggest values are self-growth and family. And self-growth comes from having that healthy relationship with yourself, having a self-care, and you can't just grow without resting, I guess. So, but yesterday, for example, I managed to turn off and, like, actually enjoy the show. And I was seeing my mom is happy. I was like, this is just wholesome. Like, I really like it. So I guess when I'm reaching that burnout stage, that's where that's even more when I'm leaning into work and, like, oh, I need to do more. I need to do this. I need to do that, because you feel worthless and you feel like small, and that's where it motivates you to, like, no, you have to do more because you're worthless now. So
Where do you think that expectation comes from for you? Like, when you put that on yourself, what's driving that for you? Because you obviously want to be more and do great things, and you will do. Where do you think that expectation of yourself comes from?
I guess, well, I was working with a therapist, so it's just when I was a kid, like, my brother used to, like, take the piss out of me a bit, like, a lot, to be honest. My relationship with my brother is really good right now, so we have this good bond. But when I was a kid, and he admits that as well, so it's not a secret, he should just, like, take the piss out of me. And I feel like from that, I kind of adapt to this thing that I'm not good enough. So whatever I'm doing, there's always in my head saying that, like, no, you're not good enough. You can do way, like, it's not even you can do way better than this, but, like, you have to do better than this, and that what's always haunts me in a way. So yeah, it's just with this podcast. I remember when we started this podcast, we said if we have at least one listener that's listening religiously to every of our episodes, and now we, as far as I know, we have, like, at least 4 that religiously listens to every of our episodes. So that's a success already, and whatever comes in the future is a bonus. But, well, is a perfect example. Like, we got there, like, that we have these listeners, but now I have something in the future. Like, now we have to get to this now, and there's always going to be this thing that, like, you're not good enough. But it's very important to, I guess, realize that you're saying that to yourself, and then say, no, I am good enough. It's just I need to. I'd like to work on more things on whatever I'm doing.
What do you think you're chasing for right now that will make you happy? Apart from, like, the pursuit of financial wealth or whatever, like, what is it that you think you don't have right now that you should have?
Well, that's the thing, man. When I was on holiday, I had some time to reflect, and I was thinking, I don't know why I'm feeling this way. Because when I just went on holiday, that was a tipping point when I felt really burned out. And for the first 4 or 5 days in holiday, I just couldn't turn off. Like, I'm feeling incredibly down. That like I'm not even sure I'm feeling down. Like, I don't want to use a word depressed, because I wasn't. It was just this anger and confusion feeling. And I was thinking, like, why am I feeling this way? I got an amazing girlfriend. I've got amazing job that I really like. I've got perfect hobbies that I really enjoy. I've got good friends. I got healthy family. I'm healthy. Like, there's nothing in my life that's like, fuck's sake, like, if that could be better, then it'd be perfect. But literally everything I do is perfect. And I was like, I'm still feeling this way. So then I kind of realized that it's just about just accepting that,
I mean,
you are enough in a way. Like,
you've got really good standards for yourself, which are high standards, which you should have. You know, I think it's really important that you have this drive that you want to be more. You want to be able to give more, and you want to be able to feel more and do more.
but that has to come from a healthy perspective, not like you need to do because you're not that. Do you know what I mean?
Like I think the truth is like, even if you were to have everything you have right now and times by 10,
you still feel that way. That's the thing.
It's never. It's one of those things. It's humans. We're all fucking onions, man. Like, you know, there's so many layers to the problems that we have, and it's just a series of beginning problems and ending problems.
Yeah.
You know, and then all of a sudden you might have a kid, and then that's a new beginning of a new problem that you never even had, and then
Yeah, exactly.
all of it, like, life is just a series of this opening and closing of openings and endings, and you're just peeling back layers of understanding who you are fundamentally.
Yeah.
Truth is, I don't think anything's fucking perfect, and if it was, it'd be so shit.
Exactly, man.
You know?
Exactly. You made a good point, because I remember before I got into a relationship, I felt like that's it. Like, I feel like I figured myself out. Like, I feel like I know when I'm feeling down, and I know how to cope with it. I have my interests. I got a good job. Like, everything seems fine. Like, I started my podcast. It's like I'm heading towards that. And then I got into a relationship, and there's a completely new pile of insecurities that came to my life. It's like, fuck's sake, I'm like insecure as fuck. and then obviously you have to deal with them ones, and I probably, that you're right. Like, once I'll have a kid, and just going to be another series of insecurities that, like, fuck, like, I'm not.
This is also enough. One thing as well is that, and I was actually talking to Charlie about this yesterday. We have our demons, right? Yeah. I was going to save this for the next episode. We have our demons, and your demons will present themselves to be louder if you don't give them attention.
Yeah.
So, and all your demons are asking for is for you to give them attention and to show them love. So all of the things that you think that you're not finding balance in, or you're not achieving in, all those demons of fear, insecurity, not feeling good enough, those demons are just asking you, hey, I need attention for that. But the attention is like, I love that about me. You know, that fear, I love that fear. I love that, the feeling of not feeling good enough, because that's a part of who I am. And you can get over that because you are good enough, and I know that. And you have every single bit to achieve whatever it is that you put your mind to. And I know that everyone listening to this podcast can as well, because at the end of the day, that's what we have, you know, that's a purpose. And even with the odds stacked in your favor, it really is a case of just applying the process to do it. And slowly that feeling gets smaller. I always feel like the problems that I have now, I'm dealing with the person who I was 5 years ago. When actually I'm the person that I am now that is totally capable. And I think the same goes for everyone else. It's like, you're not the kid that you think that you are. You're the person that you are now, and remember who that person is. And that person is someone that's completely, totally able to do it and in control, because humans are amazing and they can adapt and they really can do things. I think we put that kind of ceiling on ourselves, but the truth is it really is limitless. You just have to kind of embrace those demons and show them the love that they need. And
that's it, man. Like I feel every time I feel I'm not, do you know what's it called, the therapy called INF? There's this therapy called, I forgot what's it called, but where you, in your mind, you meet your own like old child, like old
is it
parts.
like killing your child kind of thing?
It's not killing your child. It's actually quite opposite. Like you're meeting him and you're talking with him. So I think it's INF. I might be wrong, sorry. But anyway, like my girlfriend, she did it, and it really helped for her to become this great person that she is now. She kind of helped me to, like, she obviously didn't do a therapy for me because she's not a therapist, but she's got this meditation from her therapist where you basically, in your mind, you meeting your own child and you kind of ask questions to him. So I met this little kid of mine, and not of mine, of myself, and I see like him being sad, and I'm not sure how, apparently it's very accurate, like it's very helpful for people. So I met him and I just started to talk to him, and I realized that he didn't know that I'm here. Like I grew up and I'm trying to get rid of all of these insecurities, and it's him who needs this almost a hug and say like, look, I'm not the same person that I was. Like I'm a lot more capable. So just try to like understand, feel happy, and you kind of let him go. It's very interesting, and it's very liberating feeling, because you kind of realize that I'm feeling this anger and this anxiety just because it's him, just because of him, and he feels that because he doesn't know that I grew up. He's still the same kid inside of you. So once you kind of just help him to understand that, it definitely feels like uplifting in a way.
I think, thank you so much for sharing that.
No.
Do you think sort of going back and doing that work helps you, it allows you to understand who you are fundamentally more as who you are?
Absolutely, yeah.
And
absolutely.
I think with that, allows you to create more things in your life that where you're living more authentically to you, where you do the work of understanding who you are, and like you're saying, going back and talking and having those conversations with yourself. A lot of times people don't want to have that because it's terrifying, and it's painful and it hurts. But doing that work allows you to live more authentically, which then allows you to kind of pursue things that only will make you happy, you know. And that's really important, is living the life that fundamentally makes you and that makes you happy. And I think that that's when you start leaning into the things that you actually enjoy, and that makes up more of who you are. And that, I think really that's kind of then where balance comes in. So I would say like a big strategy for those that might not necessarily know how to incorporate a work-life balance is look within inside you and sort of say, what life could I be living that allows me to live more authentically myself?
At the end of the day, like, you can become more balanced only when you know yourself. And that's the process of getting to know yourself, to just actually facing those demons and seeing why you do things. What's the reason you do things? So
what's your driving? Exactly.
Yeah, what's your main drive?
Yeah.
So if you just want to earn a lot of money, because it's actually funny, when I went back to Lithuania, I met my childhood friends, and this guy, which is an amazing guy, but he said we were sitting in this bar, and this good car, I forgot what car was that, but just went past us, like accelerating, and there was a good engine sound and everything, and he's like, fuck's sake, like, I'd love to have a car, like, I'll drive and everyone watching me. I was like, oh, like, it's interesting. I was like, why would you like everyone to watch it? But I completely understand him, because I know that feeling where you're like, I want this car because I want everyone to watch at me. But if that's the main driver, you're not actually being authentic to yourself. You're just trying to please other people in a way. Like, you want to show off. I want to be this person because I want other people to see me. But does that actually help you to become a better person in a way?
And like, if I think about the time where I was driving in my van, sort of like being like, I'm working on
I'm
this.
the man. Yeah.
When I look back at it, I see someone that just was carrying a bit of trauma on their back and was trying to prove.
Yeah, exactly.
And what I really wanted was for those people to recognize it.
Yeah,
And no one gave a fuck.
And no one gives a fuck
No one
about
gives a
it.
shit.
No one gives a shit. And that's the thing.
And what I realized was that I don't need anyone to validate me. And actually, I need to go in and give that guy a hug because he's feeling insecure because he doesn't feel good enough. And what I had to do was tell myself that I'm good enough. And with that meant that I was able to kind of even let go of the pursuit of wanting to work so fucking hard that it was driving me to the bone and making me feel like shit. That it's actually okay to close the laptop and
go for a walk.
You know, because I wasn't carrying that insecurity complex because my dad never told me that he was proud, you know, when I was a kid. Like, really, that's what it is. That's what it was. But I had to experience that, and I had to kind of go in and just say, hey, that's okay.
Yeah.
You are loved, and you're loved by me, and that's important, you know. I think that I really, even now, like, this week, and it's going to be funny because I'm going to look back at this podcast in maybe 5 years time, and I'm going to be like, I know exactly where he was at. Like, even for me this week, I'm experiencing right now one of the biggest fears I had 2 years ago, and I'm now in it. I'm now experiencing that fear. So my fear is that, well, I don't know if I can say it because if it gets released,
it will get released, but
within the next 10 weeks.
Could be.
Okay. I'll keep it quiet for now.
Okay.
But I will say it. So a fear that I'm experiencing with DOSMAS I'm experiencing, and that was a fear that I had, and I was so worked up on that fear, and now I'm in it. Oh, it's not that bad.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's it.
It's not that bad because I literally for the last 2 days have been trying to just lean into the self-care thing and actually realizing that life doesn't fucking matter. Like, it doesn't matter. It really
That's it. It doesn't. What's it called? It doesn't define who you are as a person.
Who I am.
All these external things.
I can make a million mistakes.
Exactly.
I have made mistakes, and you've made mistakes. It doesn't mean I'm a bad person.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to learn.
That's one of the many things that therapy helped me to understand. That, like, when I got with in a relationship, my girlfriend is a lot more financially secure than I am, and that's a huge insecurity for me, coming from Eastern European background and all of that. And I was like, fuck, like, I can't be this person. But then I was like, she's probably gonna stay with me for a bit and then leave me. Like, all of these things was coming to my mind, and to the point where I was getting emotional. Was like, fuck, I'm not worth and all of that stuff. But when I was doing the therapy, what it helped me to understand that, like, well, she got with you in the first place not because you have something, because you don't really have anything. Like, that's the thing.
You can fuck all.
Like, not all of these possessions, because you don't really have anything to show.
I know what you mean.
She got with you because you are who you are. Like, you're a kind person, you're hardworking, you're emotionally intelligent. Like, all of these positive things about yourself, like discipline, all of these things that you like about yourself, like
loving you for who you are, not for what
exactly
you have.
Loving for my attributes, not for my possessions.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So that, when I understood that, I was like, okay, fair enough. That kind of makes sense. Like, all of the possessions will come in the future if I'm going to remain the person I am.
It's really hard for a man to accept that as well, because a lot of the time I think men are trying to compete on the basis of what they have.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
they know that really fundamentally to like, you want to be able to look like someone that can provide security, and by doing that, it's showing that you have immediate wealth, or showing that you've got immediate, because people will perceive perceive you by looking at you. It's how we are fundamentally as humans, right?
Yeah.
Like if you see someone driving a nice car, you immediately think he's successful. But he could be an arsehole. He might not be a nice person.
It could be miserable as
He
well.
could be fucking miserable. Probably is. But it's really hard to, because I found that really hard to understand as well. I thought people would only like me because of what I did and what I had, not necessarily. Like I still find that hard to digest when people tell me, no, we really like you as a person. I'm like, well, I don't have anything to offer, and they're like, we don't want you to offer.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need to. Like you're just you, and that's what's important, and that's
like,
hard.
Exactly. When we're not inviting, say we had this camping trip, we're not inviting these different people because like, oh, he's got his own business, so he's got like money.
Yeah.
Like we're not inviting this. Like we just inviting because it's a good time when we are around these people.
Because it's fucking fun.
Yeah.
And I think that just kind of explains morally. I feel like it's a never climbing battle, and I mean, you and I've just sat here now for the last hour, and you can see that we're both experiencing it.
Everyone does, man.
I'm still trying to figure out a work-life balance, and I still don't have that. Like I'm, like there are people that I really look up to that, schedule in their time with their wife, and they've got time for their kid and all the rest of it, and that is an amazing place to be, and I would love to get there, and I'm still trying to navigate that for myself. But I know that it starts with just like we were saying, understanding yourself and living authentically and leaning into the things that you enjoy, and then planning your time around that where you can implement the best action to optimize what you're getting out of it. So like we were saying in the beginning, the work that you're putting in, actually making that meaningful work, because you can sit in an office and do fuck all for 8 hours and get distracted, but are you actually getting out, and then are you actually getting refreshed? Are you getting the right sleep? Are you hanging out with people that you want to be with? Really sort of defining that. Action steps then, and then we can, I guess, conclude it.
Can wrap it up.
Finding ways to incorporate fun and enjoyment into your work routine, I think, as we were saying, and then just letting go of external expectations that don't serve you, and being critical of the hustle culture narrative, but also prioritizing that balance in your life. I think that's because we're so quick to compare ourselves to what's online, and I think we all know that.
Yeah.
Have you got a secret question?
I can come up with one. Do you have one?
I do have one, yeah.
Okay, go for it. I kind of know what one to ask.
Okay, cool. Where have you felt the most unbalanced in your life?
Ooh. Probably the time when I moved to the UK. It was all about training at that time. Sorry. It was all about partying at that time, but then as I went through that phase, it was when I joined jiu-jitsu, that was just like training, and I was seeing my family on the weekends, which was quite good, but the amount of times I burned out during these years was crazy, and I didn't even know like what is a burnout. Obviously, as I was watching, like listening to podcasts and listening to stuff, I started to realize that this is the thing. That's
a really good point as well. For those that sort of want to understand the symptoms of what burnout is, because burnout's one of those things you don't necessarily know you've got it until you kind of.
It's just like you kind of try to still push
like,
it through. I'm not gonna be pussy. Like I'm just gonna push it through, and it was,
but also understanding what the symptoms are. Feeling, like. Now that I've clued myself up on what the kind of the symptoms are, because sometimes you don't know that you're experiencing burnout. You feel demotivated, and you just think that that's just a down, but actually no, you need to rest. Yeah.
Would you think? My secret question would be: would you think you're lacking in your work-life balance? Or I would describe it a bit differently. So there's definitely someone that you admire. That has a perfect work-life balance. What do you think they do that you don't?
I think they're really decisive on their time. my thing, I could be way better with how I spend my time. I'm very quick to give my time away. So I think, yeah, just having, and also being able to say no. I'm very quick to say yes to things because I'm still in that mindset where I'm like, say yes to everything because then it's gonna fucking.
I know what I mean, man.
You know what I mean?
But I feel like.
But that puts me in a tough position because then I've overcommitted to stuff.
Yeah. I know what I mean, man. Like I used to be a huge people pleaser.
Yeah.
And it used to be so annoying because every time people ask me something, it's like, yeah, let's do it, man. And then after like a couple of hours, like, oh shit, I agreed to that thing, and I have this other pile of shit that I have to sort out.
I know.
And then I started to like kind of, no, like I'm gonna say, let me think about it. Like, I never used to say no. Let me think about it. and then I just like come up with what, like that I can't or something.
Yeah. Should we wrap it up here?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
Thank you so much.
Really good.
Yeah, it was awesome. For everyone that has made it this far, thank you so much for listening. As always, get in touch at Triangle Theory on Instagram, YouTube, everything else between. We'd love to hear from you. Anyone that you think would be a great guest as well.
Yeah, we started to invite guests a lot more often now.
Absolutely. We're open to the invitation and would love to get involved with you guys more. So stick around.